Hello and welcome, as today is the completion of Thursday, the 8th day of August 2019. My name is Derek. This is the Money Charts channel. Like always, all bets, trades, and of the like within each's own risk and their own reward. I've been waiting all day for just something worth talking about, to talk about, and nothing really has came up. So I'll just go over what is going on within Bitcoin as well as the precious metals. We'll start off with the dominance of Bitcoin, which has a low of 69 and three quarters, a high of 70 and a half. That's about three quarters of 1% volatility, which is low, and that might be a good reason why I've made zero trades today so far. Not a single one. Still waiting on a couple possible moves, but not looking good as far as volatility today. But that's the whole part of this game. Sometimes volatility is going to be low, medium, or high, and at this stage it's low. As far as this on Bitcoin dominance, long-term levels most certainly going higher. Looking to be breaking out of this level of resistance area around the low 70 area, 70 point, at least the trading view number, 72 to 70.3. Either way, getting above this resistance barely right now. It hasn't had a clear break above it, but it has barely broken above it so far. And amongst, say, the weekly chart, this little bit whatever in here, however, throwing that little line aside, the price action is up to these previous areas in here, and markets go up and go down. And for where it was, I don't think it really means too much. I think this could very easily go to 75 or 80 the way the market is, and I could see where it doesn't. But what I do see occurring is there's going to be an up move and then a down move. The question is, at what point will the high be for where the next down move would be? And then how big of a down move, meaning how low would it go down to? Markets go up and down. Right now, of course, this has been going higher. Switching over to Bitcoin, which on the weekly chart see an excitation amongst the 18 average of highs after two-period hit at this Fibonacci level. Very close to it now at the 12,930 Fib number. Right now it's 11,870. Breaking above that, I think we got short-term resistance at 15,273, and I mean probably very short-term. We'd be looking at more for like 3 hour time frame, where this would be a significant level. And then for most of the time frames, including the daily, getting above this level of resistance, the next key level I would have to think is 20,000, which mathematically from the high of about 13.5, that's 6,500. So that's about a 50% move. And for Bitcoin, that's a good move, but it's nothing overly phenomenal either. Changing it over to the Binance exchange, which is magically consolidating amongst this higher Fibonacci level, as it had this fast period to get there on the date of August the 5th. Taking a look at this on the 3 hour term time frame, we can see that it got up to this level of Fibonacci, had a failed breakout, but it successfully corrected. Then another failed breakout. So far, it's successfully correcting. And I still say so far because it's at the 18 highs. So in this range of band, that's correctionary mode, which is where it's at. It's at the high end, so if it goes any further to the upside, well, then it would be, the status would change from in correctionary mode to that of a breakout attempt, which of course would be attempt number 3 on that of a break of this fib line. And within this, on the single hour term, we can see a lot of the choppy action that's been going on for the most part since this high. One move above, one move below, a move above, even a small move below here, another small move above, a little bit of a move below here, and right now it's having a move above. So while it's in this type of range, price action, of course, very choppy, and it's on neutral within the bull market run. And same thing, or it's neutral within the neutral run here. But yeah, this is neutral within a bull market run, meaning we got support a little over 9,000. We got resistance in the 13,000s range. And of course, it's been holding and resisting that of Fibonacci, because resistance means stop going higher, stop the trend of up move. It doesn't have to go have a big move down to be resistance. It can correct through time, which a lot of this is doing. But seeing momentum above 12,000 in here, especially with everything that's been going on. Let me take a look at this on the hour for the 12,000 number. Yeah, if it can hold and stay above 12,000, because those are the areas of the attempts that have been failing. This is the failed breakout here, the smaller failed breakout, but again getting well above 12,000. These levels here were flirting with that 12. So if you see it hold and stay above in the area like 12,057, really holding and staying above 11,968 ballpark area, if not even 11,940. 20 in that area, the mid 11.9 area. If it holds and stays above this for like 3-4 hours, that's a beautiful, beautiful sign. For now on this move, breaking above the 18 highs, I want to see it hold and stay above this fib line. But as far as a big move coming, holding and staying above this previous resistance area as support would be very, very big. Let's then move over to the gold market, which is currently in at 1,505 US fiat debt notes. And having this nice little correctionary move after this rally here to this 1400 change mark. Big breakout play. Broke out for a few days, some consolidation, then here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 days straight up here. Well, right now we've had a little bit of a nice consolidation or nice breakout move after breaking out above 1439 and even a bit more at 1450. For this was a failed breakout on July the 18th, but it was a successful correction though. And of course, breaking out here, nice little hold. What does it do after the hold? 4 beautiful up moves. And since the 4 beautiful up moves, the last period was an amazing consolidation. This one, which is a daily chart, it's a new day. So today's session was just a sideways consolidation. Again, another reason why I really didn't put much out today because, well, it's not like really gold was doing anything but just what I stated. And that's a bullish indicator. Price action, this is so weird because mathematically speaking, if these levels that are good with Fibonacci, if they're going to barely go above or below it, you'd have to think that it's about like even odds that it would happen. Meaning I could look at like 1,000 situations where it comes near Fibonacci, but it's not a close exact hit. So did it go a little bit above or below? And more times than not, it's above. So, or Pierce extra is another way. Does it Pierce, does it not quite get there? Meaning, if this were to say come up to 1519 or 1518 and then go down, well, I would count that as a Fibonacci hit with a Pierce below. If it goes to like 1521, 1522, 1523, and even 1524, that's an exact hit. And then say 1534 would be a Pierce extra higher. But it just seems that they do that more often than not. And given good update, little barely a good okay update here on August the 6th, but amazing update, good pause day today on Thursday. We're starting off the Friday session, and Friday's an interesting day. It's going into the weekend, especially in these bull market type setups. I wouldn't be surprised if we're poised for like a 2, 3, 4% day, given the fact. I mean, 5% might be saying a lot, but there's a better chance of a 5% day for today on Friday than any other random given day, just because of market conditions. One, that's a Friday. And I've seen it so often that, oh my goodness, what a day to end the weekend. It just happens in the past so often. And if you've been following gold and silver like I have for a decade or so, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And then the other reason is this bull market setup, having the breakout. I mean, I expect a bigger gain. It's had the pause day. When I see the pause day, that's an indicator that it's probably going to continue on with the trend of the breakout status. Take a look at this on the 3-hour term time frame. We can see how it just had the beautiful run higher on August the 1st. So for 7 days, it gets out above it here with a 1.7% triple hour period. And then what does it do after the fact? Well, a beautiful move after that. It establishes 1449 as resistance, and it immediately comes right back down to the 18 average of highs. Has a breakout attempt in here, and just a small correctionary higher low back to where it came from here, support, and then it's lifting higher. So not a surprise when you see a pattern like this. You know, oh, if it starts lifting off, what's the chances that we resist here or have a big gain? Well, it's pretty good to have a big gain, and it did. So where do we top? Oh, and that's what we're looking for. Well, we had a little top in here, but every correction from these tops, this top in here, this top in here, has been light. And even this move in here, when you look at the aspects of this play, you got this high, which then has a very good red candle move down. But then you have it come down, not to where it came from, which would have been, it would have worked there as well. But let's just say if you looked to buy there, you would have missed the buy. But as far as looking at where we go from here, you have a period here, which is consolidating on the highs. Another one, that's period number like 2 from the bottom. And then you have another one where it's continuously going up. And when you're seeing all this, it's like, hey man, this is resilient. I might be thinking, oh, it could come down to 1463, but if you were looking to buy there, you wouldn't get it. So that's why if you just see it going up like this, sometimes in market conditions, just taking the ask price and just buying it sometimes can work out. Because if you realize it goes down here, you're like, well, it looks like it's breaking it. More times than not, it's going to come and find a bottom here, and you're just not going to stop out at this, is another way of putting it. And of course, you would get your gain. So where does it end up topping? It ends up topping at this high at 1510, and we'll come down here, and it's looking to take it out. Again, the attempt was stated, screamed out basically. After we were in the correctionary mode, we escaped it a couple periods ago, consolidated it last period, really continue consolidation within it right now. As far as I haven't seen the hour time frame, there we see another nice little situational setup. Tried to break out in here, didn't do so, but so far it's correcting solidly within this trend. So it looks like probably may have a good chance of a good up day. And as far as this level of resistance is concerned, when you get to areas that are supposed to be resistance and they're not, and Bitcoin showed a lot of that happening earlier this year. What usually happens? Yeah, fast moves to the next level. And the 1670 is really just shorter term nonsense. I wouldn't be surprised if there's not resistance here, that we would have a very fast move to 1670 area, probably even 1675, 1680, maybe even piercing above 17. And maybe even continues going higher from there to the 19. Or when it does reach the high 16s, low 17 area, that it might have a very short term type of a pullback, maybe go down intraday or over a 3-4 day period, maybe come back down to this 1522 area as support. Because if you don't resist it, that's another thing you want to look out for is do we support it instead of resisting it? But generally speaking, when you don't resist where you're supposed to, more times than not, you're going to be getting a fast move at that level. So we'll end up seeing maybe you support it. One thing you might do is resist and support this for several weeks. That's a possibility as well. But usually these fib levels play out in the story mode very, very well. And again, like I state, they usually come up a little higher. Case in point, because the Fibonacci lines are from this high and this low. So you knew all the numbers going into 2016. And when you did reach this high in the spring, it pierced extra. And this hit was a pierce extra, as was this one, as was this one, and then the breakout. Let's move on to silver. And given it's at 1703, I know it's a pause day as well. I haven't looked at this chart yet today, but I've looked at the prices and haven't really seen too much in action, other than the fact that it's holding $17 right now, which in itself I know is a strong point. On the monthly time frame, this is the yelling, screaming at the attempt. Hey, we're looking to revert the trend. Okay, you screamed it out back in 2016. You kind of failed, and holy crap! I guess I'll say it as a successful correction, but that's almost like taking a test that most people would normally do in say 90 minutes and taking like 6 hours to do it or 8 hours to do what people took you long enough, but technically speaking, because you didn't break down below this low, until you break below it, all correctionary moves in like this is successful because anytime you leave below the 18 average of lows, you're always going to get near this level. So as long as you're able to bottom anytime you go below it, which of course it is so far done here because it went below it here. Okay, so above that, so still correcting, and then it goes above it here, still above this, and back in the 18. Now just getting above. It's still back all these prices in here that it had for quite some time. So obviously still very, very cheap on the daily chart, as I mentioned. Just a lot of pausing for today's session after getting above the 18 average of highs yesterday and having a move of 3.82% up to 17 and a quarter almost. And again, just holding in there at about the 17 level. We can see in here that price action did not come back down to where it came from. It still may, because if this fails within this 18 and we break below this level of support, that most certainly would be my level of resistance I'd be looking at, which would be near 16 and a half. Would be that next level, but it's playing it very nice within this time frame that okay, we come up to the 18 highs, pull back. If I see it breaking out above to the point of 1711, 1713, I would be expecting there's a good chance that this thing would be ready to take off for a big move. If I see it holding and staying above around 17, but spending a good amount of its time over a good portion of periods, then that's a bullish sign. And if I could say that on the hour, what do I we've had a situation of this last up move in here, so this is where it loses the 18, establishes support. So after doing that, it's had a significant amount of time within the 18, resisting the highs, supporting the lows, now at the highs again. So therefore, if it can hold and stay above 17 on the hourly time frame, especially if it can resist at least around 17 and a dime, 17 and 0.12 even, if it can like come up to here, test some of those levels, maybe pull back and just stay there for like 3, 4, 5 hours. That's a bullish signal. But as it goes with gold, I would expect there's a good chance it's going to have a good day. The whole Friday factor is in place. And let me see if there's just anything else really in here. Price actions come back into this level. And since it's gotten above this key resistance point, any type of decent pullbacks, longer term, 16 is, if it doesn't hold 16, I'd be looking at this as a failed breakout. But again, I believe after this long consolidation time, it's just a matter of that time before we have significantly large moves higher. And it wouldn't surprise me if it happens now. But right now, we'll just see how the effort, because Silver's screaming out, yeah, ready to get going. Okay, good luck with your attempt. And if you succeed on it, well, that means we know we're going to get above 21. And then breaking 21, we'll probably get back into this congestion range between 26 and 35. This is a different style Fibonacci. For the key Fibonacci levels, what do we got for a low in here? We got about 13 and 2/3. So if that's the case, let's put in 1366. The high was 49.81. All right, so key levels are 22 and 22 and a half and nicely above 3,000. So that would be a pierce above here, and then nicely above 3,000. You would, or $30 rather. You'd have to think that this around the 31 would make a lot of sense when it does get above that. But that's another way you might say, there's no way I want to call this bullish until it can make a higher high at least. And in order to do that right now in this time frame, it's got to get above that 21 handle. And at 17, it's got to go up 4 basis points, $4, and that's almost 20%. Now that's something that's capable of happening in one day. Let me just see if I could find some of its amazing past day results in here, because I know a lot of it happened before the top and during these moments. Okay, that's some of the what was this day here? This was 6.5%. I mean, the down day here, this was 13% down after 9% or 10% down prior. Is there any significant? I don't see anything too major here. I mean, we're looking at, I mean, the whole span of it to go from 33 to 50, that was like 50%. But that's like 3% here, 3% there, 3%. It's been a long time since it's had a stellar day, it looks like. 5%, that's like meh. Maybe I spent too much time in cryptos for it. That's not what I wanted to do. Let me push Control Z and see if that helps. It does. That's undo, by the way. Control Z or Control Z. This update here, 5 3/4. I might have to go back to like the 70s, 80s before the last time it might have had a phenomenally big move. I mean, this is 4% there. I don't know if any 2008 crash would have had anything. 422. What's this one here? This is 5%. So it's very rare. In fact, it's been so long since it's had anything near a 10% day. If I've passed it, I mean, we've seen, well, here's a 15% day on September 17th when it came off a low of $10.41 and it closed at 12. Of course, that was after it had a big decline. So that's one of the last times it's had that kind of move. But there were some very large ones back in the 1970s of phenomenally greater than 20% daily moves. And a quick look at the gold to silver ratio before concluding this video. After it established this level of resistance, establishing this level of support, so far we got a higher low rally on a retracement from that low for the intra-year lows and the highs. Since then, it's already established a level of resistance. It's in this correctionary phase. Because it's established this, getting above here, you'd expect it to break here, and then maybe continue some of its retracement with usually support somewhere around here and spotlight this, and then the next previous level there after that. And if the price action in here fails within this move, that means if I consider this a failed breakout, that means I need to see weakness and failure from the 18 average of lows. So far, all it's done is had one test of it, which should be probably the conclusion of this day and this day, and that was a pierce above it. So it hasn't even touched the 18 lows, so it hasn't even officially even tested that point yet. But I need to see more than that. I would need to see weakness, and when I see weakness after a move like this amongst the lows, then I look for pattern setups where it'd be breaking down, and then I'd be like, okay, yep, good chance. It's most likely at least going to test the previous low, but probably more times than not break it by finding no support there or little support. Little support means it doesn't get above like 88 or whatever, meaning it has a small rally at best. And that will pretty much be it. But that's short term. This is like long term. This has had a significantly large move up from 32 to close to 100. It has been over 100 before, but you'd have to go back to like earlier in the 1990s, and they don't have all the data in here, unfortunately. And I wouldn't be surprised if either way, if the rallies comes out and gold starts it as it goes, maybe it continues on, maybe it has a move where it goes up 50%, where silver only goes up 20 or 30. That could be possible. I wouldn't be surprised if the or the other situation happens, where gold goes up 50% and then maybe silver goes up 80% or more, or something noticeably higher than 50. And then, of course, that would trigger this to go on a lower direction. I think, regardless of how it's going to work out, that there's probably, for me, a good chance that this is going to have significant moves lower. But I wouldn't be surprised, like I stated, if gold has a great move. Maybe it goes up to like 3,000 and pretty much doubles. And silver goes from like 17 to 25. And then this ratio would just scoot much higher. And then after that, wouldn't be surprised later on that, of course, regardless of if it goes to like say 108 or 117, that it would just cold back lower, 117 to 100 to 90, and then of course there'll be rallies along the way of lower highs on the way up, but 90 down to 60, 50, 40, and I think lower than that, but I'm just saying at least back to where it came from in here. So I'll finish off with a quick Bitcoin update because it looks to me as if this thing is ready to go. The close is 2 minutes from now, so it's 8:57 p.m. now as I'm doing this. And when we look at this, just to quickly state on the single hour, just a beautiful hour here going up 1.57%. On the 15-minute time frame, this 15 minutes is going good. And this thing really broke out as I was talking about gold and silver, as it got above this level of resistance here at 1945 12 minutes ago, and getting above this level. And that's like one of the things I talk about. If it gets above here like this, oh, excitation of the 18, it's looking like we might find resistance here. Of course it didn't, but it's probably going to be a good leg higher at that. And usually if you do it on when it breaks a key level like that, if you're looking for the gains, it usually doesn't take that many periods to get it, this being no different. We'll see how this correctionary mode works here. It hasn't came down the 18, but well, I'm not going to look at it much further on the 1 from here, but it is above 12,000, so we'll see. Maybe it's one of the days where everything will go up on the Bitcoin and gold and silver for the Friday, but time will tell, and I'll be back most likely on that day with the next video. Bye-bye.